Good afternoon, dear participants, and Mr. Shamal Perera, our resource persons today. Uh, the Sri Lanka Export Development Board wishes everyone a very happy and prosperous New Year 2021. And also, we welcome you all to the first webinar of this year. And we are happy to announce that this is our 31st webinar of the series. And today we are ready to discuss another timely topic on minimizing obstacles in sea cargo, especially import and export trade during this COVID, to make your process hassle-free. This we have realized that very important for the business community engaged in import and export trade, specifically through the sea. And we hope to elaborate very current concerns in this field today, and everyone is raising. Those are empty container shortage for exports, increasing freight rates, RF and dangerous cargo, especially imports and exports, and handling procedure in shipping lines and Port of Colombo. Today we have Mr. Shamal Perera as our resource person, very experienced and qualified professional in this field. He is the Director Operations of the MSC LANKA Private Limited, which is the leading international shipping line operating in Sri Lanka. And he is the Regional Operations Manager of MSC Geneva. And Mr. Shamal is the current chairman of the Sri Lanka Association of Vessel Operators. And Shamal graduated from UK for his Master of Business Administration. And let me to say you about his experience, very little in brief. He has 30 years experience in international shipping and local shipping trade, specialized in international shipping documentation, logistics, and ship operations, including ship planning and terminal operations. Engaged in multinational shipping companies, feeder owners, officers in Dubai, Singapore, and Bangladesh. He is an expert in DG Cargo, OOG, and project cargo handling and reefer cargo handling and international procedures. Dear participants, we are planning to have this session for 40 minutes, maybe around 45 minutes. And then we hope to start Q&A sessions. At that time, you can submit your questions and concerns to us through the Q&A session. You can see in the bottom of your screen. So you can use that platform to submit your issues and concerns. Mr. Shamal, it is over to you to start the presentation.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Kirti. Thanks for inviting me to discuss and to just to elaborate on this one of the three key topics, which is really on the talk of the town and in the shipping trade, and everyone is questioning about these matters. So I just want to welcome the ICA's Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers training student as well, because just for their knowledge as well, I have just made it very brief and very basic for them to understand. And also I hope that the importers and the exporters in the trade would understand and get some advantage of this briefing. So first of all, let me take you to my presentation. I've done a small presentation, match the time, and just to keep in some time for discussion about the questions, because I have seen many questions raised by the direct importers and direct exporters. Until this COVID, I think the 2020 is the year that we were faced a lot of challenges with the COVID. And with this COVID, I think we have seen many business affected, and even the importers and the exporters who are on the back seat, and the shipping part done by the forwarders or the clearing agents was done smoothly, and they were not involved. But with this pandemic, and they faced a lot of difficulties. Containers were stuck in the port and accumulated storage, and the empty container shortage for the export, and the rates are increasing. So they all came to the picture. And they also start talking to the shipping lines and various experts in the trade and questioning the reasons. So I have seen with the question few shippers and consignees raised during various forums. Maybe their knowledge is not up to the expert level, and there are some required certain basic knowledge as well. So I'm trying to cover that aspect as well. There are whoever in the import and export trade maybe not got involved in shipping and the procedures and the import and export procedures in the shipping line and even in the terminal and the port. Maybe I'm just trying to elaborate a little bit for their knowledge as well, because I know the expert in the trade very well understood all about this, but this is mainly focusing on the importers and export who are not really keen on these procedures and raise various questions. So let me first take my presentation to this. Give me a second. I think all can see the screen that it is, is a topic that minimizing obstacle in sea cargo import export during the COVID. So this topic is about during the COVID what we faced, and this is just to brief about the procedures and also which can help you in future plan and schedule your import and exports in especially these reefer cargo and DG cargo facing certain issues in the port and even with the shipping lines, and there are a lot of questions raised by these customers. So I'm going to cover those as well, and also the reason why we are facing this empty container storage and the increase in freight rates. Before going there, to help even to our ICS student, I just mark the important areas on the shipping. What is shipping? What is shipping means shipping is the most cost-effective method of transportation of the goods. The seaborne trade is covering the 90% of the world trade, and the 4/3 of the earth is covered with water, and there will be a long distance between the countries with raw material and industrial countries. So you need a proper transporting system to connect raw materials to the manufacturing countries. So the shipping has been the #1 transportation sector in this aspect. So if you consider the economic of scale, resulted development of larger ships carrying cargo and the raw material, so to keep the transportation costs low. So we have seen the ship size has drastically increased. If you consider about 1 decade back, the bigger size of the ships about 5,000 to 6,000 TEUs, like equivalent 20-foot container. You can say 5,000 containers can carry, but now you can carry 20 to 23,000 containers, which is four times bigger than the what we started. So the ship size has increased. So there's a limited ports which these ships, bigger ships, can call. Fortunately, Colombo also one of that port. So, but again, this congestion also one of the reason these big ships, because when you have less berth, less terminal, ship has to stay. So we'll come to that topic later on about the delays and the port congestions in the world. So coming on to this topic again, that the most economical way of moving cargo is shipping. That is no question about it. Even during the COVID period, we have seen how the demand is on shipping trade, because the airline also affected with the COVID, and the air cargo also has a huge drop, and so which also resulted again into the shipping. And even though we were forecasted the lower volume due to COVID, but we have seen the surge and we have seen the increase of volumes, even though the countries are facing tremendous pressure and the challenges with the COVID. So the modern container ships carrying a large number of containers with finished good to place their in demand. So this is the advantage of the big ship calling port, which have a huge space, like is equivalent to 5 ships, which calls about 10 years back. So, but then the space on the ship when it called to the particular port also important. So as we all aware, the trade, Chinese trade is attracted recent past, and for the last 3 to 4 years, we have seen the growth of the Chinese exports, so which resulted these bigger ships are filled, majority cargo filled in these Chinese ports. And if you see the world number 1, 2, 3 ports also Chinese ports. So the Shanghai terminal is the highest volume handling terminal. So you can see the volume generating from China to Europe and USA. So when these ships are arriving to Colombo, the space is limited because it depends on the cargo we are going to discharge in Colombo, we are going to load. So you have imports, then you have space for the export as well. So this also affected drastically to this space and empty container, and also to the rates levels. Okay, and we will touch base this further on when we discuss about the freight rate and empty containers. And this is just to brief, because there are a confusion I have seen with certain importers, certain exporters as well, because they have been dealing with the various parties. So they should know with whom they are dealing with, because they just say our shipping handled by the shipping manager, and we are even to any party they said it's shipping line, but that is not correct, because you have various organization, various international recognition given. So main shipping line is called the main line operator, which having these big ships, and they own the shipping ships, they own the shipping line, they own the container fleet. So they are the world demanding, dominating carriers. If you take top 20 shipping carriers, are demanding, controlling these volumes. And if you see the top 10 shipping lines, is all are calling Colombo, Port of Colombo. That is the beauty and the advantage that we have, which is huge advantage for our importers and exporters, that all these world top class shipping lines calling Colombo. So these shipping lines is multinational companies. These the principal officers are in various parts of the world. If you see Maersk, world number 1, they are in Danish company, and MSC, where I work, is in Geneva base. So all these principals are the investors. So they decide which services to call which port. So these services, they have designed the port rotation, the schedules, so they plan the ships accordingly. And when the size of the ships are increasing, even the ships per day cost also very high. So when these ships are delayed, the cost to these investors, this principal, also considerable amount. So this is the main reason that they want faster turnaround of the ships at any port. So when the ships are delayed, so there's an extra cost to principals, to the ship owners. So the ship owners are concerned which port is more productive, more efficient, and they were trying to give more business to those ports. If you take 2019 volumes in Port of Colombo, we have handled 7.2 million TEUs total throughput. That means 7.2 million containers we have handled in Port of Colombo. So this rank Port of Colombo as 22nd in the world ranking list, and even we were treated as Port of Colombo treated as world best connectivity port. So because we connected main line and the feeder and the volumes, so we had the best connectivity. So this is what we were in 2019, and 2020 we were like anticipating further volume increase, but unfortunately with the COVID in March we were affected with the volume. But then again, June, July, August, there was a increase in volume. And in Colombo, we had unfortunately the second wave came in October, and not like in March, we found COVID positive cases inside the port, with the port laborers, with the customs, and the port area, the Cartagena Blue Mandel area were affected. So there's a lot of challenges to the chairman and the team in the port, and there have been various discussions, various meetings we kept, and see how to manage the situation. But anyway, when we have a stoppage, when we handle such a big volume and such a high number of ships in the Port of Colombo, even we are not afford to have a 1 hour delay. But then the delays in October, what we had due to labor shortage, and you know, the panic situation with the laborers when they have the positive cases, and when you have one person affected, there are many persons who are objecting to work. So there's a huge challenges. So that's resulted this congestion. So this congestion, there are various options and various solutions given by the port authority and the management. So but it took longer time to recover, and so due to that, the ships has skipped Port of Colombo, and the principals, the ship owners, the main shipping lines has to take a decision because they can't hold the ships 3-4 days, because it's affect entire schedule after Colombo. So which is very high cost. So they have to take these ships to alternative ports. They have discharged these containers in certain Indian ports. They have discharged in Singapore. So there's alternative areas they have discharged these containers. So due to this, there's a shortage of equipment created, you know, because when the ships are skipped, your import boxes were discharged in India, Mondra, and various ports, and it take about another 3-4 weeks to bring those back to Colombo. And so when the Colombo, the congestion was continuing for 3 months, there were so many number of ships skipped, and the impact is huge. So we will touch base this again on the other topics when we are discussing. So this I'm just briefing about the mainline operators, how important is a mainline operator to a port, and how important is mainline operator to a import and exporter, because of this mainline operator, we are Port of Colombo facilitating these mainline operators. So you will have regular connectivity to the entire world. So Colombo is connected to the entire world with this mainline shipping ships calling Colombo. So we need to retain these lines. We need to ensure that the Port of Colombo working efficiently and recognizing the principles and providing the requirement what they want. So this will affect the local trade, import and export immensely to connect to Colombo from the various part of the world. And if you take the feed operator, and the feed operator is a common carrier, like the feed operator, they got the ships, they have own ships, and they have charter ships, and so, but they don't have containers, so they carry other cargo and the mainline cargo, and also the NVO cargo, and whoever want to load, they can load with the feeder operator, but they operate with a short distance ports with a low draft ports. So the main lines which are calling Colombo are not able to call certain ports in the India and Bangladesh because of the draft limitation, the depth of the water, and so these small ships do the necessary connection up and down. So it's a very important role done by the feed operator. So connecting all part of the Indian ports, Bangladesh, Malay, and all these area to Colombo. So this is why the Colombo is one of the transshipment hub, because all these big ship coming here carries 60-70% cargo is for transshipment, and so these feeders are the ships which connect, because these main ships cannot go to those ports. Even if you see Calcutta, Haldia, Chittagong, these are river ports. The maximum draft about 9.5 meters or less, and even those are tidal ports. With the tides is changed draft, and you also seasonal draft also there. During the winter, the draft is very less. So this feed operator having a big role to cater these ports by connecting main line, the big ships and the small ships with these ports in east coast of India and the west coast, and also Bangladesh and Malay. So this feed operator, so they are common carrier, and they don't have containers, but they operate the ships. Then when you call NVOCC, non-vessel operating common carrier, so these parties are similar to main shipping line jobs they have been doing, and they have their own BL, but they don't have ships. They have containers, they have own fleet, and their principals are in different part of the world, and but they operate short distance. Normally, NVOCC, the container fleet is not bigger than the main shipping lines. They have a smaller fleet, so they want to operate very small distance between the small less distance ports, because then they can rotate their smaller fleet more frequently, and then they will have the revenue generating, because if you have the long sea route, then the turnaround of the round circle of the container time is longer, and they are not having enough equipment to manage the longer routes. So the NVO operator is especially managing. We have a very good NVO operators operating in Colombo and India, Colombo Gulf, Colombo Pakistan area. So these NVO operators also registered with the DGMS, and so there are various agents handling these NVO operations. So you as a consignee, or maybe when you are receiving cargo, you must sometimes you'll be receiving through mainline of vessel. Sometimes you must be receiving from a feed operator or like a vessel, but maybe the cargo BL you are holding will be a NVO BL, because NEO they don't have a vessel, so they use mainline slots or the feed operator slots. When the mainline having rollovers, they have their own boxes. They won't give space to third party, and then mostly the feed operator helping the NVO to clear their containers. So normally NVO, they will have a long-term agreement with the vessel operators to manage their fleet between the ports. So then when it comes to freight forwarders, forwarders are the intermediate parties with the shipper and consignee, and so they normally do the function of on behalf of shipper and consignee. They look after their shipments and they manage the requirement of shipper and consignee. When it comes to imports, there's a separate procedure. When it comes to export, there's a separate procedure, but they will be looking after all the interests of the import and exporter. So the WAF, like is normally clearing agent. They do the custom brokering and the port clearance part and the documentation part and even the transport part. So so this is just a basic to cover up with. Maybe you should be aware with whom you will be doing the business, because your problem is based on these guys. So if you have the delay and documentation, you need to see whether you are dealing with the direct shipping line, whether you're dealing with the forwarder, whether dealing with the NV operator, or you have the export related problems. You also need to know with whom you are dealing with. So because the problem related to that particular party, and because especially this in India Colombo trade and Gulf trade, I've seen many business done through the NVO and forwarding, and also with the feed operator. So when we come to the one of the main topic of empty container shortage, so these are the few notes that I have written down, and maybe you can go through it when you have time. I just elaborated the reason for the shortage of this empty container, especially for exports, because the shortage we face for exports, especially in November and December. Even today there's a shortage. So this was not just created in November or December. This started with the COVID in March. Because if you can recall, when we had the COVID in March, it was more than Sri Lanka. It was started in globally, started in China. China ports were affected. The ships were skipped in China. Same like Colombo, there were a lot of delays in Chinese ports, and there was a lot of effect. And so this resulted container imbalance in the global imbalance in the containers. So when the ships were back to route, and when the started increase in the volume, and even Europe and USA picking up the volume towards the mid of 2020, still the supply chain was not working well. So you have the disturbance with the supply and demand with the China and USA and Europe. So the containers were not circulating well like previous. So containers were stagnating in certain ports. So these ships, you can't carry only empty containers. So you have to load there's priority on the ships to load the laden cargo. And then when you have space, we'll be clearing the empty containers. So the clearing of empty containers is a huge problem for the shipping lines. The certain shipping lines, even MSC has separate sailing to clear up an empty container hiding in the certain areas where you have the strong imports like Middle East, India. You get high imports and high number of empty containers stuck when you don't have similar exports to load. So these containers, you need regular evacuation. When your regular evacuation is disturbed, there you have the problem like to supply from the excess place to the demanding area. So so this entire world is globally, this was disturbed. So this resulted in Colombo, we have faced this problem in October and November, because ships start skipping Colombo, and then the import, even the restricted imports, we were getting less imports. If you see overall market drop was 18% to 2020. So even though we have a less import due to restriction, when the ships skip, even those imports were stuck in various other ports. When the principal have seen the Port of Colombo congestion is continuing beyond 30 days and even beyond 60 days, so they also not given space from various part of the world to Colombo, because when you have a congestion in any part of the world, any port, when you keep on pumping containers, you have more containers accumulated, and then the shipping lines will have problem to evacuate these containers, and even the empty containers getting stuck in those locations. So it is not only Colombo. This congestion is, we had this congestion in Singapore. We have even now we have a congestion in Port Keelan, Malaysia. We have huge congestion in Dubai now, in Abu Dhabi. Port is congested. There will be about 3 to 4 weeks rollover cargo. So the various part of the world, you have these congestion and delays. All these due to COVID, and because the health related issues, various issues they are facing, and addition to that, the seasonal weather also affected, and so all these delays and the shortage of export, maybe the shipping lines also taken decision to have blank sailing. They have rerouted the ships, they change the rotations. So all these affected, so it's a combined effort, combined result of all these globally. Everyone is facing this empty container shortage. It is not only Sri Lanka. There are every part of the world, this shortage is there. And other main factor is the shipping lines, shipping principals has lost the huge money during the first part of the year, during the pandemic hit in China, and then slowly come to Europe and US. During that time, they had serious delays similar to Colombo. The delays were there in those ports. So they were losing heavily on those ports, and they were not able to recover these charges. So they have requested certain ports. They are doing regular business. They have been having regular business to give certain waivers, give some concession to the shipping lines. Initially, this was request came from the shipping lines, because the freight rate were very low that time, and the cost was very high in the many part of the world due to this pandemic, the delays, and the ships were parked, and then still you have the cost for the ship. So to recover that, this freight rate start increasing. So we'll discuss that more in the next topic. But then what happened when they increase the freight rate? Then the demand increase, and then there's a shortage was empty containers, because suddenly there was a increase in volume, and then you can't meet the requirement of export. And then this was one reason that the many ports, they face this problem, that the shortage of empty containers to meet, which started in India. Normally India, we don't face equipment shortage, but India also face this. Even today they have this problem, because the export, the empty containers were targeted on a high freight routes. So I'm explaining this to come to that point, that the empty containers were rerouted back to China again from all over the world by shipping lines, because they have seen how the rate gone up from China, and then rather than dumping containers or like discharging containers in South Indian ports, or like even Colombo, and if these containers goes to China, there's a high freight. So that's why again this part of the world, like India, Colombo, Bangladesh, we were short of equipment, because shipping lines reposition more containers to China to meet the demand of this increased export from China to Europe and USA. So this also reason that shortage of containers. Usually, if you see in Port of Colombo, the empty containers discharged from Far East vessels. So these ships bypass, and you are not able to discharge the containers. So we are fully aware that in Colombo, import versus export, there is a huge gap. There's a huge imbalance, because our imports are on 20s, our exports are on 40s. So for the export, we need more 40s. How we supply 40s? We discharge these empty containers from the ships, that is mainly the eastbound calls. That is, after Colombo sail into the Far East, Singapore, so those ships are carrying empties. So, but these ships were skipped Colombo. So then there's no way that we will able to get down the empties. So we had to depend on the imports, but when the imports also drop, so there's a shortage. So the alternative option, we have excess 20s in the region. So this excess 20s, certain shippers use instead of 40s, these 20s. But we managed to get down, as MSC, we managed to get down high number of high cube empties from India and the region, from Gulf, and provided to local trade. And we have we have managed to cater to about 25% of the requirement. So this is the main reason for the shortage of empty containers. So and also there's a shortage of special equipment. It's the same reason that when you have less imports for the reefers, when you don't get equipment for export. So and also there will be some open top flat tracks and all these requirement. But how we cater this, we normally we don't get much imports on these special equipments for project cargo, but we managed to get these equipment from India. But now it's very difficult to reposition from India as well, because India also finding shortage of equipment. So due to this, we are finding shortage on even the special equipment. So that's another reason that we are not able to provide the special equipment. And also to bring a container, empty container, to Colombo, there's a cost. So if this cost can be accepted, so then we can request principal to convince them, because as you know, even the container discharge in Colombo, that port handling charges has to be paid by the shipping line. So if you're going to bring a 40-foot flat track, we have to pay $240, and even to transport to the yard, we have another $15. So there's a cost involved, and when you load the container, again, that cost will be for the shipping line. So shipping line is not much interested to send the special equipment due to this reason to Colombo. So we are not in a position to convince principals, because when they do the costing, there's a negative impact. So they have enough demand in other locations, so they will be providing empties to those locations. So, and other thing is, now since due to this imbalance 20 and 40 in Colombo, imports are more on 20s, we have to reposition all these 20s back to the demanding location, and all this done with the shipping line costs. So that's also some concern with for certain shipping lines. I don't say all the shipping lines, certain shipping lines are concerned that these extra 20s they have to reposition out of Colombo is a cost to the line. So when we go, running out of time. So when you are going with the increase of freight rates, again, this is one of the important topic. I think you all can see this presentation later on as well. I will just try to go a little bit fast on this because again, as I explained in the past, like due to this COVID, we face this all this imbalance of containers, and then the demand started towards the latter part of the year from August onwards, and that's resulted increase in the rates. So it started not in this part, it started in China because they were started after COVID, post-COVID, they started exports and there were huge demand for the containers and to the ship space. And when there's a lack of space and containers, so the rates start increasing, and which slowly came into the all part of the globally, which affected. So this is not only in Sri Lanka, this rate increase is not affected only in Sri Lanka, it's globally. So it is globally affected. I think is the matter of the market forces, which like if you have space, if you have extra space, and if you have enough containers, so then these rates would come down. But now at the moment, still the ships are skipping ports, still the ports are facing problem, still the ports are having COVID related, health related issues. So I feel this will continue for a few more months until you find normalcy in the majority of the ports. So it is not really 100% related to Sri Colombo port or Sri Lanka, but is related to the various globally, the global ports where the high volume generated. So we even in Colombo, when the globally rates are increased, we have to match that rates. Otherwise, normally we won't get space on the mainline ship if the rates are low. So this is the main reason is to this COVID, this rate increase, and mainly the ships bypass and the port related delays, and the cost of principal is very high, and I think they have to recover the cost, and so this when the situation is normalized, this will definitely come down, because you have a very high tonnage in the world. So if this tonnage is floating around, so you will have enough space. So and this topic, the reefer and DG cargo handling, I have seen many consignees are facing problems. They are fully not aware of the procedures in the port. I'm not sure that how the agent are communicating to them. So usually shipping lines ready to release DO 24 hours prior vessel berthing for the reefer containers. So reefer containers is top priority. All top shipping lines are ready to, because when you say all top shipping lines, they have fixed schedules. They know their vessel berthing time in advance. So there's very rare that their vessels are getting delayed. So they can really issue the DO, because you are not sure about your vessel berthing, then only you are not able to release the DO. But these mainline top lines which are calling Colombo, I don't see this problem, because we used to issue the DO 24 hours before, especially with the perishable cargo, onions, and then the consignees, the wharf can do the clearance in advance, and as soon as the container discharge, they can clear. Because these reefer containers normally stored on deck of container. Majority vessels were stored on deck. Colombo cargo was stored on deck, and as soon as the vessels berth, within few hours, these containers will be discharged. So if you do your documentation properly and you prepare yourself in advance, so and you follow up your vessel ETA and ETB both, and is definitely you can clear your cargo without any delay. So but this you really need to work in advance. So if you wait for the last moment, then only you will face many related delays, because if it is in Friday and you are not ready with your documentation, then you have come into a weekend and then you face problems. So but anyway, if you find any problem with the reefer cargo, I think you talk to direct to the shipping line, or maybe NVO with whom you are shipping your container, and request special attention for reefers, which is the international practice, to give special priority for the reefer boxes, because the boxes are in such sensitive cargo inside. So everyone, the shipping lines, the wharf and the forwarder, NVO, and even the terminal, everyone is definitely giving some sort of a attention for the reefer containers and priority. So that's required for such cargo, because most of them are cargo coming to Sri Lanka is perishables and fruits and these things. So you need very, very prompt attention. And about the export reefers, I heard few questions came up with export reefers early opening. It is not possible to give as a shipping line early opening, because the reefer electricity charges import is very high. So we normally accept reefer container 3 days before vessel berthing. So if you bring a container early, you have a per day close to $80 cost. So it's very high cost. We normally principal won't accept such a high cost, which is not covering. So in 3 days before you can bring the cargo. That's a normal practice with the shipping line. Some shipping lines have different arrangements. That's anyway, that is the basic procedure. And some shipping lines say 24 hours before. That is depend on the shipping line, like so normally all the top shipping lines are given 3 days. And then because when you have 3 days, when the container is loaded, it's loading on the last day, because if you see the big ships which take 24-hour port stay, so you have 4 to 5 days. Sometimes the port bills 5 days reefer electricity, even though you are bringing 3 days before, because vessel sailing date will be the day after. So that's the reason you can't give early opening. But even the FCL cutoff about the reefer containers is very flexible. Even the terminal and the shipping lines are very flexible. You can bring the reefer container even if you face some delays on the transport or whatever. You can bring late, because this container is loaded to the ship last moment. So you have first discharging entire ship, and then the loading the ship, and then reefers are going the last moment. But you need minimum 6, 8 or 10 to 12 hours cooling period. The reefer container should be in the yard, because when you unplug and bring the container, the temperature is different, and then you need to plug, and you need to have certain time to reach the temperature where the ship will accept. Because if you bring the container immediately, you can't load it to the ship. So you need to bring at least minimum, like safe side 12 hours before loading, and then you have time for reefer temperature to come to a set temperature, and then only the vessel will exit. Because once you load the ship, the chief officer will come and check the reefer temperature, and if it is not on the set temperature, he will not going to take the container. He'll immediately ask to discharge. So these are the practical situation on the reefer cargo. So then on the DG cargo is very sensitive matter. The DG cargo, so various questions came up and various issues that we have seen on the DG cargo. The DG imports cargo, we have a procedure, and we have a rules and regulation, international plus local. The international procedure, I think all the shipping lines are following up due to various accidents. And the local procedure in Sri Lanka Port Authority, we need to take certain DG cargo approval from the Ministry of Defense. Those are categorically mentioned, which are the cargo you need prior approval. And for imports, when you take the import license, also it was informed. And so I think the normal procedure has to be followed. There's no the relaxation on the procedure on the DG cargo. On the export DG cargo, I think there was a questions, because export DG cargo shipping lines, all the major shipping lines are having separate DG desk, and they will be trained, and they will have regular training session. The international training sessions are there, and they will keep on updating the latest updates, the packing requirements of the various cargo, and due to the behavioral changes of the cargo, they have been updated. So these DG desk is 24 hours. So you have every shipping line have a cutoff before the arrival, 72 hours before you need to get all these approvals. So at the booking time, so you need to book this DG cargo export very early, and you have to give all the proper documentation, specification, everything. In case you are stuffing 2 DG or multiple DG, there's an international segregation table. So it has to be strictly followed. And then the shipping line also have their own restrictions. Certain shipping line won't accept charcoal. They have a condition how to accept. So there are a lot of rules and regulation stipulated in internationally and also with the shipping line itself for the DG cargo. So so you have to do your planning in advance and you give your details, the booking stage in advance. So then you will get a response from shipping line whether they will accept this container and whether it's any conditions or whether segregation has to be changed. So then you need to strictly follow those procedures and shipping lines requests, because we have seen many incidents, many disasters due to DG cargo, mainly due to wrong packing. And we have seen recently a lot of DG cargo came from China, caught fire on board because of the wrong packing. And so these are real concern. IMDG is working on this internationally, and the misdeclaration is serious concern in the world of due to the ship accidents. So the DG cargo handling is very specific and is a very sensitive area, and shipping line won't take any risk, even the documentation or whatever. I think all the shippers and consignees has to be cooperate on this, because it's a safety, and it is safety of the crew on board and ship and even the terminal. We have seen how the recent blast and the ship incidents recent. So all these related to DG cargo. And in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, we lost one warehouse a few years back. That's also wrong stuffing of DG cargo, because DG cargo, based on the cargo type, the handling, the storing on ship, there are various regulations. The certain DG cargo you can't keep close to the engine, and you have to keep away from heat. You have to keep certain DG cargo under deck. Certain DG cargo you can't keep under deck. You have to keep on deck. So your deck, all these decisions based on your declaration. So as a shipper, the declaration is very important on DG cargo. I think all the major shipping lines, there will be a DG cargo expert. They have regular training their staff. So it should be IMDG internationally. They are trying to bring it up, this requirement that all the NVO and whoever handling DG cargo should be a reputed trained DG cargo handler should be there. Because if you have a newcomer handling DG cargo, he have no idea about what is DG cargo. He think about normal, and he will not declare properly to the shipping line, and shipping line, the person who's handling also neglected and not declaring to the DG desk. It can be a disaster. So we have seen such thing happening. So so that's why is DG cargo is a really sensitive matter. It is should be handled very carefully, and the highest level of cooperation request from the trade, the importers and exporters when handling the DG cargo. We have seen a lot of imports coming into Sri Lanka for the various factories or the various manufacturing factories. So as far as we are concerned, the huge number of the chemicals coming with even with the MSC, but we have seen those consignees and especially the BOI related companies are following proper procedures, so which is good, and we have not came across with serious problems. But in case you have any concern rejecting of your cargo, or maybe any line is not accepting your cargo, and maybe you can contact me. I can help you out on this, find this solution, because we are in touch with globally with the international IMDG, the experts. We have regular meetings, regular training sessions, so we can take up these matters and we can find solution. There's a solution for everything. There's nothing to say no. There's a way of handling it, and you have to follow that. So this can be handled. So so because even the most dangerous DG cargo is handled on ships, so but it's handling with the proper procedure. So so that's about the DG cargo, and this is the basic type. You can take on the presentation that whoever these ICS students, for their knowledge, I just shared this type of ships, and this is the type of containers that we have. We are transporting, containers. We have seen a high number of increasing of flexi tanks now, a lot of oil moving on the flexi tanks, and there will be flexi tank. And we have seen very low quality flexi tank start leaking and giving a lot of problem in the port. So so there's a various type of latest containers coming up. And this is just a container specification. I think most of the people are not aware what is this written in the behind the container. When you go behind the container with your vehicle, you'll see what they have marked. So it's very informative. You have every container CSC plate is the recognition of a container, and container number is also a prefix which belongs to the container operator and the identification of the container. So so these are the basic stuff. I think I've taken a little bit more than the time given. So thank you very much for listening to this, and I'm handing over to the Kirti for the questions to answer.
Thank you very much, Shamal. It's a very uh, uh, good elaborations just to understand the new areas and the network of shipping to all the participants. And thanks for giving us that opportunity to listen to you in a simple and understandable language, because shipping, the terms and things, all terminology are specific. And so your elaboration is very much important to understand clearly. And let's move on to the questions.
Yeah.
There are two kinds. I have observed there are two types of questions. One is the specific, that means individual concerns, and some are common concerns. So let's go through some common concerns. And Mr. Johan asking that our understanding is that the Port of Colombo is now back to normal operations. What measures are being taken to get shipping lines to go back to the pre-COVID level scheduled vessel calling? I think this is just their concern is to plan and keep hopes to do the future shippings and all.
Yeah, Kirti, I think it's a good question. Yeah, actually, we as the Slavo, I mean the president for the Vessel Owners Association, we have been discussing this and kept all the principal representatives inform what's happening in the port. So yeah, the port is back to normal. Port is operational well, and we can say is very much better than what we had in last 2 months. But for principal to call back these lines, it will take few more time, because they will clearly observe, because what happened when there's a congestion in a port in any part of the world, they take first a temporary steps to skip the port and discharge those containers in alternative ports, which is costly affair for the shipping line, because you need to reroute back wherever you discharge those containers. So then if the congestion is continuing more than 30 days or maybe 1 or 2 months, so then they will do the long-term schedule adjustments, because these shipping schedules, you know, it is adjusted for 2 to 3 months forward. So when they adjusted these 3 months to call alternative ports, and you can't just turn that within 24 hours. So you need to plan it again, maybe after about 1 or 2 months, they will change that, because when you discharge transshipment containers in a different port, they will be taken up feeders also to cater those containers to the various destination. So it's a chain effect, you know. So that entire process need to be changed, because the ships calling Colombo is for transshipment. There's no ship calling Colombo for the local import and export. Our last, if you see the volume, I think 2020 we have handled about 6.8 million, I will say, containers. Everybody understand containers. So out of that, maybe import and export just less than 1 million. So more than 5 million is transshipment. So these big ships calling Colombo to handle these transshipment containers. So they schedule, they plan port of calls to manage these transshipment containers. So it is that's what I said, we are blessed to have all these lines calling here, and we need to somehow jointly retain these lines by working together. So it will take few more months to take these services back. Secondly, another problem that they are facing, the other ports are congested and ships are not coming on schedule. So now if you see, I have seen another question from Malaysia, because we have seen huge congestion in Malaysia now. The ships are skipping from there. So regular schedules are not maintained. So when they skip these ports, the Colombo ETA of these vessels are changing. So if you don't come on window, which you don't come on time, you will not have a berth, because in Colombo we have only 3 berths with a deep draft, with that is CICD. So these mega ships, as per the economic of sale, the ship size has increased. So this big ship can berth in CICT for the moment until we get this ECT running well with the proper cranes. So for the moment, this CICT can berth only 3 ships. But if the ships are delayed in other ports and coming together, and this ship has to wait, so then still you have a problem here to get a berth, because we don't have adequate number of berths. So then that ship's still going to skip Colombo. So that's why it is not only Colombo, is either this region. We have to see how the Singapore, Port Klang and Indian ports, and then the Gulf ports are operating. And we have huge delays even in the Abu Dhabi, the new port. So there are reasons. That's why it take few more months to call these services back to Colombo. But I feel these services would call back.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shamal. I think you have answered for several questions that I can go through these, and thanks for that. And one question is something specific, that is it true that certain lines are prioritizing equipment only for certain clients?
Kirti, this is also, I have seen certain articles also on papers as well. But I think which is also this not aware of what really happening. Because see what happened now, if you see the topmost lines calling Colombo, having always sailing their vessel full, and their space is, there's no space wasted. So they have the regular customers, regular the companies, regular worldwide organization booking the cargo, and they know to where to book. So what they do when they see a shortage, they book in advance the containers, and they definitely materialize. They book 50 containers, they load the 50 containers. So what happened during this period, there are certain shipping lines, maybe small timers, and they face shortage of equipment, they face delays of their ships, they were not able to cope up, and then those customers so want to load with these major lines. So but then these major lines, what they do, they give priority for the regular customers. Whoever regularly loading with them, they have given priority. So they have a regular customer base, they have global contracts. For the certain contracts are signed even in principal office, not in even Sri Lanka. So these are annual tenders. So those are, anyway, we need to cater to that. And so you can't avoid giving to these regular customer and regular annual tender customer and give it to the new party containers. So there was a rumor, and there was an unwanted communication created that some parties were given containers, which is not correct. I think if the containers are there, definitely it will be released according to the shipping line procedure. And as per the also, definitely there will be a prioritizing basis, the destination, the freight, and then the customer. So these 3 things definitely any shipping line will select, because they also do a business. Because if you have your 40s, and if you have a 100 TEUs to India and you have again another customer coming into Europe, definitely you will be giving those equipment to the Europe. You will be not going to give it to India because your India freight is such a small and then the Europe is so many times higher. So this is the basic in shipping. So this is what's happening. So keep the, on same point, I want to just elaborate another thing, how the shippers can avoid these things and with the advanced planning. I know it's not easy, but it's a pandemic situation and it's a entire world is running in a different platform now, and we all are doing certain changes, all are doing innovative changes, and certain strict decision has been taken, certain shipping lines, certain ports, and so these shippers, I think, if you are sure about your export, I think you need to book early, you need to reserve early, and you need to communicate more, and you need to select proper partner to do your business. Because if you face problems, you will continue and you will face continuously problem. So you have to see with whom you can deal and with whom you are comfortable, and then you need to maybe you have to pay a little bit extra, but then your business is secured because there are many options we can give to shippers and also to help them. We definitely helping the local trade. We have to come up and help them in this situation. So we are ready to listen and we are ready to help out, Kirti.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Shamal. And one, Mr. Asela asking, many Chinese suppliers saying that Colombo port is under congestion. As we know, there is no any congestion now. How can communicate with main lines that no congestion in Colombo?
No, actually, there was a circular from the Port Authority with the third terminal as published. I think they can quote that. And if anyone want to in writing about the congestion in the Port of Colombo, even you can, whoever can write to me, I can say, because there's no congestion now. When there's a congestion, you have to say congestion. When there's no congestion, you have to say no congestion. Because there's no congestion at the moment. Now it's cleared, and fortunately, and thanks to the three terminal and the chairman and the minister, and they were working throughout during these 3 months. So the congestion is cleared. So we have different problems that is nothing to do with the congestion, that the ships are not coming on schedule and coming on together, and various other concerns. So we don't have any problem, because the last month we had so many containers shut out due to missing connectivity, but so last 3-4 weeks we never faced any shutout. All the ships are arriving. We are managing full operation, and there's no delays we have seen, and the port is working normal now. So it was published, and they can, I think, these Chinese suppliers, they were trying to find some sort of a reason to hide their delays or whatever.
Okay, that means still main shipping liners bypassing Colombo port.
Okay, due to congestion, there's no shipping line bypassing at the moment. The shipping lines bypassing may be due to their vessels are delayed due to previous port delays or the schedule related delays. There are few bypassing because you have a schedule, you have a limitation in the port. Any port you have that, and so if you are not coming on time, you are coming 4 or 5 days delay, you are clashing with other ships. So then you get a priority. Whoever coming on time will get the priority. So these are the reason few ships are bypassing, but not due to the any problem, because all three terminals were running well now, and the situation is much improved, and we are very happy to see it is improved now.
Thank you. We too happy to listen that the message from you as a leading shipping line. And I think Mr. Siddharth from Empire is that you got the answer for your question. And I think we have to conclude our session. I will go for one question. There are many questions. I will share with Mr. Shamal. and
Yeah.
we will answer to those questions by email. And this is the final question.
Right.
What can an exporter do to ensure his cargo is shipped without any hassle in the coming months?
Yeah, Keith, is a really challenging uh, job for any shipper because the world situation is keep on changing. But see, if you are sure about his exports and he's having his raw materials imports schedule on time and his export also on time, and then you need to do pre-booking with the shipping lines because the space and also the empty container situation is as I said, it will continue for a few more months. So I would say about 3-4 months. So you have this problem facing. So so you need to plan early, you need to book early, and you have to select your proper party to do the business, and so with the advanced planning and you can manage this because like pre-COVID, whatever export container ready, I don't see any shipper face problem to get a container and load that. But now you can't do that. If you don't plan early, maybe you will not find the empty containers, and then you will not find the space, and then you have to pay maybe a higher freight, and the way. So that's why you need to start dialogue discussion with the shipping lines, and based on your cargo, based on your destination, and then you need to see how you can reserve the containers, and also build up relationship with the shipping lines, so where then they can help you out during this sort of a difficult time, KZ.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. EDB appreciates your valued contribution. Willingly join with us to disseminate this the informations and sharing your knowledge and experience, and to clarify some burning issues and matters, among us. The EDBs regularly receiving the issues and concerns of exporters, seeking our intervention to resolve. So I think there are so many clarifications you gave us. And again, thank you very much for uh, joining with us in the EDB to support the export community. And EDB is willing to continue this dialogue and link with you to get support to help our exporters. So it is the remarkable time, and everything is becoming normal. And this is our webinar series that we completed 31, and our viewers, I think more than 60,000 during these 31 webinars. And thank you very much for the participants for being with us. And we hope to organize another webinars in timely topics, important topics to support you. And again, thank you very much, Shamal, your valued contribution and joining the EDB for our programs. So participants, thank you very much. And again, I am wishing everybody happy and very prosperous New Year and all the success of your business endeavors. So thank you very much, and we will meet again uh, uh, at a same webinar for the important concerns next week and weeks ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, KZ. Thanks. Right.